Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. I always love having this man on. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He is at WMoon1 on Twitter. He is also one of the radio voices of the Seattle Seahawks, Warren Moon. Good to see you, sir.
How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Thanks for coming out here to
Happy Super Bowl.
observation post at Presidio. At the Presidio.
It's beautiful out here.
Yeah, I got the Golden Gate out there, right there.
I've been across that a few times.
And Alcatraz over there. You ever?
I never want to go there.
No, I know that. I've been there. I shot a reality show. I actually did a reality show.
Did you?
I was the host of 2 reality shows, one on ESPN and one on TNT that both shot on Alcatraz.
What was it called? Escape from Alcatraz?
No, one of them on ESPN2 was called Beg, Borrow, and Deal, the famed Beg, Borrow, and Deal, where people had to go across country and do all sorts of sports-related stunts without any money.
And that's in syndication now, so you're making...
Oh, that was not one and done. There was actually a Beg, Borrow, and Deal 2. That was the end of that.
Okay.
But then I did Warren. I didn't think I'd ever talk to Warren Moon about my reality show television hosting experience. The Great Escape on TNT. It was about putting people in spots that they had to escape from, and the first one was Alcatraz. And it was an overnight shoot, so I've been on Alcatraz Island at 4:30 in the morning. That's actually happened.
I hope there were good swimmers in that group.
I don't recall their swimming acumen. There was one actually that couldn't. That was a problem. But the Great Escape was one and done also. And it was done by the people who did the Amazing Race.
And I hope you're done with reality shows now.
Well, I work with the greatest reality show of all time, the National Football League.
Yes, you do.
That is reality television.
Every day, all day.
Right? Because you even sat down, you said to me as we were micing up, like, why would Kaepernick want to go to the Jets?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, I think Chip Kelly would be perfect for him and his skill set, but you just never know. It might be a sour situation here in San Francisco, and he just wants to get out and start fresh somewhere else, and I can understand that too.
Warren Moon right here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, let's just jump right into the Cam of it all here, because I know you've known Cam for many, many years. And now it just seems that he opens his mouth and people are just going to parse everything that's come out of it right now.
It's unfortunate.
You know?
It really is.
So do you know what experiences he's talking about when he says that he hears the hate, he hears maybe racially motivated hate coming his way?
I know exactly what he's talking about because I lived it, and other guys have lived it too, whether it's Doug Williams or James Harris, guys that I've talked to, and it's not specific things that you're going to get into a long conversation about specific situations. It's just you hear somebody say this, or you hear somebody say that, or you run out of the tunnel and you hear somebody say this, or you're at a restaurant and you hear somebody say that. Wherever it might be, you just hear certain things all the time. So you're not going to just maybe go into detail on all of those different situations, but if you've been in it and you've experienced it, then you know exactly what he's talking about. And most people can't relate to it because they haven't experienced it.
And because I think a lot of people in the media are looking around at colleagues and saying, did you say anything about Cam? Did you say anything? Because I didn't say anything about Cam. So what's he talking about?
Right.
That's sort of the discussion between members of the media that's happening right now. And that's why I love talking to you about this, because it seems to me that it's real life experiences that Cam is talking about when he's discussing this. Have you spoken to Cam about this subject at all?
We've
Warren?
spoke about it many years ago when he was first coming out, because he dealt with some of it in college, and I dealt with it, and his father has been a good role model for him because he can talk about it as well, because he's followed my career. He's followed some of the other African-American quarterbacks, and I met Cam back when he was in high school. His dad brought him to a football camp that I was having with James Harris, with Doug Williams and Marlon Briscoe, and that was the main reason he brought him there, was because there were African-American quarterbacks running this camp.
Warren Moon here on the Rich Eisen Show. So Cam says we haven't seen anybody like him before. That part of it is that you can't compare him to anybody. Would you agree with that assessment?
We really haven't. Show me a 6'5", 255-pound quarterback that does the same things he does. Ben Roethlisberger is a big guy like him, but he doesn't do the same type of things. He doesn't have the same skill set. So he is different. There's no question about it.
People throw Culpepper's name out there.
Culpepper, I don't think, was as mobile, and if he did have those abilities, they didn't use him that way. This guy is used in a way, sometimes it looks like they're running the wishbone out there.
It does.
With all the different misdirection and reverses and things they're doing. But then he's a classic passer in the pocket as well, but he can get on the outside. How many quarterbacks run a power gap play where the quarterback is leading up in the hole inside tackle with a guard pulling or a tackle pulling. You just don't see that.
What about Randall Cunningham? What about Randall?
Randall was a mobile guy. He was athletic, but you didn't see Randall running off tackle power plays. You didn't see Randall running short yardage plays or goal line plays, design runs for him. So that's what makes him different.
What about Elway? How about Elway?
You didn't see that. You didn't see any. You didn't see him do that stuff.
Steve Young? What about
None of them. They scrambled outside the pocket, which was great because they were athletic. But they didn't call runs for them. They didn't call Steve Young to scramble and run.
By the way, I'm playing devil's advocate right now because on the show last week, Warren, I had a whole list of statistics of records that Cam has set from the minute he stepped foot off campus at Auburn and onto a professional football field all the way to this current point, setting records for rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns and yards and rushing yards and average yards and things of that nature through his first year.
People don't realize, after his first 2 years in the league, he threw for more yards, had more production than any quarterback in the history. But it went unnoticed because they weren't winning football games.
All right, let's take a break here. I've got Warren Moon. When we come back, and we'll talk about the Peyton Manning aspect of this, and then hit Super Bowl 50, and then discuss again fortheplayers.com, which we talked about the last time you were on in our LA set. Warren Moon, back here on the Rich Eisen Show in just a minute. Yes, Coldplay arrives today. As a matter of fact, they're in Levi's Stadium already rehearsing. And after this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, I'm going to be heading down there. I'm going to interview the quartet of Coldplay for NFL Network. But I've got a lot to talk about right now with Warren Moon. Dan Marino's coming up next. Before we do move to Peyton Manning, sir, the 12s got very upset with Cam for Cam taking one of their towels and throwing it because it was put in his face.
I think it was a 12-man flag. I think
it was a 12-man flag.
Yeah, again, it was given to him, and what is he supposed to do with it?
Well, I mean, Seattle fans who you know very well.
They're passionate, no question about it.
One even put out some form of a petition to ban him from Seattle, which is great because then Jet fans started making petitions to ban Tom Brady from New Jersey.
Really?
Like, let's just take
it just took off.
Yeah,
huh?
Let's just take off. Let's
we got some passionate fans.
Chicago fans banning Aaron Rodgers from the city limits there. Why not? But
no one should have gave him the flag in the first place. There was nothing good that was going to happen out of that.
Okay, and I'm sure you've known Peyton Manning for ever and a day
since he came out.
Do you think he's done? This is his last game, just based on what you hear, see, his body language?
I really do, but he's not going to try and make this game out of Peyton Manning's last game. That's why he's not going to address it, and I don't blame him for doing that. You want to focus on this football game and not even try and think about the future, even though he might already have his future planned out, but you don't want that to be the narrative for this whole week. The narrative should be the Super Bowl. What's it going to take to win this Super Bowl game, not what I'm doing after the Super Bowl, because that's all he wants to focus in on, even though he might already have the future plan.
I think he does, the future plan.
Of course.
You know, and so
whether that's coming back or leaving.
What do you think happens Sunday, Warren Moon? Who do you think wins this football game?
You know, it just depends on how Denver can protect him, because Carolina puts a lot of pressure on you with their front four. And if he has a lot of pressure in his face, it's going to be tough for him to step and throw the football, and that's something he has to be able to do to get the velocity and the accuracy that he needs. And they do a great job of pressure in the pocket. So that's going to be key. And then I think what Cam gives you problems on against Denver's defense is really fast. But he makes you play on your heels because there's so many things you have to think about and so many responsibilities you have to have when you're defending his offense, because they run the read option, they run all these other reverses, they throw it from the pocket, he runs the football. So you have all these other responsibilities. If you're a defensive end, you're not just being able to come after the quarterback like you could against Tom Brady. You've got to come more under control against him, because if he gets outside the pocket, now big things happen. You don't have to worry about that, say, with a Tom Brady. So he slows your defense down a little bit, and I watched him do that against our defense in Seattle.
So you think Carolina wins this game?
I think Carolina wins the game because of the quarterback difference.
And what does that mean for a legacy game for Peyton Manning? Where do you stand on this subject?
I think he's one of the greatest to ever play it. I think he's in the top 5, no question about it. This game could elevate him up into that top 2 or 3.
Right.
But his legacy is solid. You know, I mean, 5 MVP awards. Who's come close to that?
Right.
Best player in the league. That doesn't mean you're always on the best team, but he's been the best player 5 different times in his career.
Let's talk about fortheplayers.com. We spoke about it in Los Angeles. This is a website for players to check out because they're unaware that something needs to be done on their behalf or by them in order to get the money of part of the settlement between the league and the players,
Right,
correct?
the concussion settlement is getting ready to come up. It's in appeal right now. It's going to be finalized here pretty soon, and they'll have about 180 days to get all of their paperwork, all their medical work, all their symptoms diagnosed, and all that in order to get compensation for the settlement. And if you don't do that, you're going to miss out on this opportunity. And I don't think there's a lot of players out there that understand what it's going to take in order to get this compensation. The money's going to be there. There's no question about it. But I don't think the league is going to tell you exactly how to get it. So that's what this information resource is for players and their families to call in, answer any possible question they need to have answered, or they can call the number, 184, make that 1-844-84 players, and then they can get that information as they call in as well. So I just want to make sure these guys understand what it's going to take to get this compensation, because if they miss out on that 180-day window, they don't get any compensation from this ever again.
Did you see the news that Ken Stabler
Yes.
had CTE?
Yes.
That came out just today.
One thing I'm happy about is there's research being done now to hopefully be able to find CTE in the brain before you die. Right now, it's only after you die.
Or what about a test when somebody's thinking about, do I play football or not, that they can take a test and say that you have this probability of getting CTE if you get a certain number of hits? Is that a pipe dream?
That's probably more of a pipe dream than finding out before you die, but it's definitely possible, because as long as we keep doing research, we keep finding out all type of medical information. So hopefully, yes, somewhere down the road.
And how about you? Do you have any feelings?
I don't have any symptoms. Sometimes I forget what show I'm going on. And
Look out.
And I don't know if that's because of just me getting old or the fact that maybe my concussions are starting to take place. But it's a worry that you shouldn't have. And it's a worry that I got from playing football. So every day you think about, is this going to set into my life at some point? Right now I have no symptoms, but I do have to have my baseline test so they know if I do get symptoms down the road, then I'm eligible for this compensation as well. And a lot of players need to know that too.
Right. I've got Warren Moon here on the Rich Eisen Show. So fortheplayers.com, and educates players, creates awareness. And I know you're very passionate about this subject. What about my last minute I have for you here, the Seattle Seahawks having this step back? There's no other way to put it. What do you think about the Seahawks moving forward?
Well, I think John saw right away after we got beat against Carolina, we need to get bigger and more physical. He thought that we got beat physically, so you're going to see our team probably get beefed up a little bit more. We've got 18, I think, free agents, unrestricted and restricted, that we have to deal with, and we have to figure out which one of those guys we're able to bring back and which ones we're going to let go on the market. Then we have a couple of unhappy guys. Well, so we'll see what's left for them once you deal with the guys that you make sure you have to sign back.
Do you think Lynch comes back?
I'm not sure.
Retire, though? Because he has to give money back if he retires.
Yeah.
You think that actually happens?
I don't know. I don't know where Marshawn is right now. I know he's pretty banged up. I know he told me that early in the season, that his body was banged up. So, when you get to that point as a running back, it really goes downhill fast. So we'll just have to see how he feels.
So you really think this is not I want to get paid any more money or going to play across the bay here now that Oakland's decided to stay put for a year?
You never know with Marshawn. He has a plan for everything.
He does.
He's a different guy. He's a very difficult guy to manage. They've managed him very well and got great production out of him. But who knows, maybe that marriage is ready to end.
Warren, thanks for coming on, man.
All right,
I
thanks for
appreciate
having me,
that.
as always.
You are the best, sir. ForThePlayers.com, Hall of Famer Warren Moon here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.